I might kind of be cooked because I've got the Skull Court going on, and I've got the Wither Storm doing whatever up there. So it might be done for. Anyway, oh yeah, I forgot. So while in the time between me stopping recording and starting recording again, I got this. I made 2 upgrades for it, which is this, and you can see that. Well, anyway, and I also started the Skull Cord and the Blue Storm, so I might be done for it. It might low-key be over for me. Well, we'll probably be fine. I still have to figure out what I'm going to write in that book. Alright, I have a bunch of copper over here I didn't collect. This is what one of the abilities does. The other ability is allegedly passive, but I haven't observed it doing anything at all, so. Where are we going? Or close squids. How very unfortunate. I'm not minding all that. Oh, right. I completely forgot about this. I have to make all three. Alright. Alright, let's see. Which gun do I want? This one does 40. This one does 40. It's the hand cannon for pistols. I'm not touching snipers yet. Let's see. I think it's like that. This one is. I think this one. I might make this one, honestly. Alright. So, grab that. All that and all that.
Yeah. We put the rest of us been making sure we remember every now and then. No, I didn't get extreme activity. I got extra.
Oh. Perfect. Right, I need the ammo assembly table. Iron ammo box.
There's some kind of recapping on what's going on since I actually, one of the vaguely amusing ones that's still in Lake is Leo got banned for a bit.
Huh?
Because somebody reported him sounding underage in voice chat.
Bro,
They just haven't responded to the ticket yet. So he hasn't been able to do it yet. That's fucked up, man. Sounding underage in voice chat. Are you shitting me? Who did that? Where was he? Because the thing is, like, he was like shouldn't things. So this is something that apparently was big. Jesus. Yeah. Some are theories is that it might have actually been somebody from the previous server he was on, where he also got banned for the exact same reason. But in that case, he didn't have a chance. He didn't get given a chance to dispute it. Just instant from the server and it is. And from the community servers too, like the has a chance to speak.
Okay.
So that's the major thing. And other than that, just trying to figure out what and last year,
Yeah.
handling that. That's what I'm up to right now.
Oh, I need 18. Position 30! I'm gonna go watch it. Take care, y'all.
Here with Godfrey, just the comedian who hosts the podcast, where I improves the reputation of Ladder Third Mark. Well, sometimes we interact under other circumstances as well, and today I have one such occasion for you. Let's check it out. Once again, the first time I went on Godfrey's show, it was to debate Lord Jamar, and most of you know how that turned out. If you don't, watch this video immediately for a good belly laugh of 50. Very soon afterwards, I went back on the show with Godfrey and Dante to have a general conversation about science, which was quite fun and productive. They had
What is the
great
NBT
questions.
tag
I
here?
got a chance to practice my explaining skills in lightning round format, and everyone had a great time. Fast forward to just a couple weeks ago, and I happened to stumble upon an episode Godfrey published called Did We Really Land on the Moon? Since I recently published my two-part series exposing Art Cyril the Charlatan on this very topic, I decided to take a peek. And of course, I heard some of the talking points I was quite familiar with being uttered in more of a comedic context than anything else. But it did seem like Godfrey and at least one of his guests were genuinely espousing
It's 4.
denial, while Dante, the lone voice of reason, tried to represent reality as best he could. Now, Dante and I are well acquainted at this point. He actually acted as my bodyguard during the vaccine debate in New York last week, time to time. So I texted him and expressed my disappointment. We agreed that I should come on the show to talk about moonlanding denial, and I'm going to share that conversation with you now. As expected, based on our previous interactions, Godfrey was not combative at all, and courteously listened to the explanations I provided to debunk the talking points they had been discussing in the other episode. Truth be told, he's kind of just always doing comedy, and sometimes he riffs on things that science deniers say to get a laugh. So he wasn't super committed to any of this stuff, and when presented with actual science, he riffed on that with some comedy instead. If only all casual science deniers could be this flexible. At any rate, this ended up being sort of a mix between the flat earth debunking and the episode where I explained a bunch of science, so it was quite productive. Enjoy this conversation. What's up, everybody? Another episode of It Godfrey We Tried. Live again, it's going down, you know what I'm saying?
We're doing extended mag.
The regulars, Vishnu, Baka, we got Akeem Woods, and we have Dante Nero. Yeah, it's the same fucking circus as usual, everyone. But this is a special
Need 4 glass.
I always got to give a shout out to everybody where I've just been to. I'll give a shout out to Dania Beach, Fort Lauderdale. You motherfuckers came out. I have 4 t-shirts left. You know, I just started like 3 weeks ago.
I have sand.
So I'm trying to figure this merch thing out.
No sand.
You know, I get the numbers and I'm using Shopify thing on my phone. I'm not doing that shit. You know, that shit's embarrassing. I don't like any of that shit. But I sign it. I get them in line for meet and greet, sign shit. I ain't stand over and take fuck that. You come, you buy, I sign shit. So it's
Same.
going good.
That's the only
4
thing.
t-shirts I sold. So it's going good. Shout out to Dania Beach, Fort Lauderdale. I appreciate your ass. This week is Charlotte, North Carolina. Is the Comedy Zone in Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte, North Carolina. This Friday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's going to be awesome. Oh boy! And I gotta get a shout. The New York Knicks. Come on now, New York Knicks. Come on, New York Knicks. Wow.
Need to get sand.
They came back twice.
I mean, God dang. New York Knicks, man. And listen,
Just give me sand.
I still got the residue from the 90s
Okay,
bullshit.
I can crush gravel.
53-year
Or I
drought
can mill
drought.
gravel.
I give props to the
No,
Knicks,
I can mill.
even though Mike
Since
James
I don't have sand
ass
stuff.
was rooting for San Antonio, no, was it? We were watching the whole thing in the green room and shit for San Antonio, no, was it? We were watching the whole thing in the green room and shit. And the Knicks won while I was on stage because there was a lady. And you know, Florida's nothing but New Yorkers. They were like, I'm watching it. I'm keeping tabs. And the Knicks win. I think it's great. They needed it. Shout out to Spike Lee. I hope he gets an honorary ring. He should have forever because he's been loyal since the 80s, since he was young. And, and he's been there in losing seasons. He actually was always in the psychology of every team that went. They always pointed at him, right? He always got people's heads. Spike Lee deserves to be on that float Thursday for the parade. So shout out to the Knickerbockers. And we have Brunson, who they shit on. Stephen A. Smith, all those sports analysts shit
Okay.
on Brunson, said he's not working, he's paid too much, and he proved
Hold
them
on,
all
wait.
wrong. And yeah, so shout out to New York Knicks. It makes sense now. All the songs now. New York, the Alicia Keys one, the Jada Kiss shit, all that shit making sense.
Okay.
Everybody has always worn Knicks shit forever. People wear their Knicks all the time. Now it makes sense. Congratulations. Boom. Now, to get to real shit,
18
that
damage.
great. He's like my exterminator. He exterminated ozos and shit like that. Yeah, my man. They the scientists. They the scientists. They the science communicator. Yeah, Professor Davis. It's Farina. Let me say this. I have a WhatsApp. Dave texted me. He said, come on, like, he is better. You were, or Kyrie, I won't keep looking at that thing more because they that one did not exactly
Alright, I still need a chest. So.
With all the, like, that dumb bass on shit, that shit, they yelling and pointing to the fucking where I don't think the bitch is like went anywhere. And I just said, that's not what counts. I even did it with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he told me, I want to hear your words. That's your, I know you at this point, so I think you'd be super duper competitive. You want to kind of recognize that's not a substance, guys. Okay, what about a ball in the water? What about that? You know, tuning, man, or nothing. Do any of that shit. That's a whole other level. Yeah. So, tell me your reasonings on my doubt. I have doubts of it. And I think doubt is okay. Sure. Yes. Okay, that makes sense. I just doubt, like, when you talk about the technology that's not around anymore that they use, why would they get rid of the technology? I was wondering how they had to take the vehicles and all that and how they get all that in there. You know? Dude, I mean, the factory that made Model T cars isn't around anymore, right? But doesn't mean we didn't make them. Well, we certainly could build the factory and use all this technology to do it. But anyway, that's just the side. So I just want to, I think one way to jump into it is just to kind of jot down some notes about some of the things you guys said, and especially what you said just now about the origin stuff. I mean, it's kind of like, I understand the desire to be like, is that real or is that not real? But there's a point where you kind of go too far. In that episode, you were talking about Felix Baumgartner did the Red Bull skydive record. When he jumped. Yeah. That guy got it. I don't think I think he's at the end of that where you actually saw I'm sorry, but your justification for the origin thing is that Felix wore a suit. But he was not doing craft, right? He was doing a skydive. He needed a suit to have air to breathe. There's no air way up there in the edge of Earth's atmosphere. That's why he had a suit. The Blue Origin ladies were inside the spacecraft. And they did. They went past the carbon line. They didn't go up to orbit. They went past the carbon line, so that counts as space.
They came back down, and there's just, I would be curious to hear where, like, what is it that you, why do you think it's fake?
I just feel like, you don't need anything to go past that. It's the wrong setup. Need anything that has to cover like pressure or anything to go that high. But it stays up about the
They're inside of a spaceship.
I'm just asking because you said we could get in out of space. I was like, I thought you needed. I said no. I'm saying
The Apollo astronauts weren't wearing spacesuits inside the spacecraft that took them all the way to the moon. They had to put them on in order to go out on the lunar surface.
right, they showed them like they actually showed them launching and they're in their suits when they're walking. You know, they're walking to the space. They have the suits on. So like in the cloud. Well, I didn't know that. That's now on TV. They show them in the space. Show them in the space. Yeah, when you got some kind of sci-fi or something like that. Go ahead. Is there a thing do they build space like when you watch TV and watch sci-fi?
Yeah.
Sometimes people actors in space.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends on what. So they have to put in an artificial atmosphere into the spacecraft, right? So there could be details in terms of like when that's pumped in, what the mixture is, right? Whether it's because
No dynamic lighting either. What is this module?
Just do pure oxygen, and that's what's responsible for the Apollo.
We made this.
That's the reason. So I don't know if this really talks up there, but the point is that if you're inside of a spacecraft where they're floating around in the command module all the 3 days to the moon, 3 days back, they don't have a space helmet on, right? You're in a spacecraft. The ball is protect you from the
It's not that it's apologetic, but the thing is, like, when the guy came and opened the door, like, she opened it. Why don't I throw open the door? Yeah, you don't close the door. Yeah, that was way more.
Bezos wanted a ceremonial. It had already depressurized.
Yeah, nobody on
Not if you were in. Not if you actually were into it, right? And it's just there's nothing that weird about it. Bezos just wanted a very ceremonial PR moment of him going and opening the door. Well, that's not Blue Origin. That's not what we're here talking about. Let's talk about. Okay. No. So I just want to say one general thing and then move in because I want to demonstrate for you empirically that we definitely went to the moon. Has nothing to do with trusting any government or anything like this. Because just the general thing that I want to say, because a lot of the rhetoric that I was hearing from you guys and all of Lincoln it's not just you, or just generally a lot of this stuff too. No, not that. But this thing of like governments have lied is not an argument justifying anything we want to be a lie. It's a lie, right? And in addition to the angle of like historical disenfranchisement towards black people is not a reason to engage in pseudoscience, right? The laws of physics or like what vaccines do or what viruses are and like all these things. This is empirical science that has nothing to do with, slavery. Like that. This is verified scientific facts.
Did not like
So
those
I understand the sentiment, but it's
So why are you talking over?
no, it's good.
I think that you guys said that. Yeah, you're talking over him for. Hey, you don't go. Because the evidence not done.
I mean, I made a point. Now I want to pivot into Sure.
Yeah, that's what he's done. You're like talking because he just said something and he thinks like, that's the question. That's the out there question. Don't interrupt me at all. Go ahead. You're listening to me first. I'm not taking his side.
Let the guy talk. Let me ask the question.
I ask you right now. We can't take landed rocket on the land and then reuse it. That's a drop, right? No. 1963, 69, okay, they landed on the moon and then they got back on it and then they took off again. And you get a lot of fuel to get out of the that's the question. It's just like that.
Okay. See, this is why we're here. This is exactly why we're here. So you just said something when you said that you need a lot of people to get off the lunar surface. But that's great that you said that. So you said something very specific and concrete. That's your justification for why you don't believe it. So now we can talk about that thing, right? So the answer is that no, you do not need a lot of people to leave the lunar surface. The lunar surface is 1/6 of Earth's gravity. Right. And there's no atmosphere. So there's no friction, air. There's no air there. And the part of the lunar lander that was going back up the rendezvous is so tiny in mass compared to any rocket that's taken off from Earth. Right? So those three things combined, and you can go ahead and do the calculation right now, but you can what's the force required in newtons for that portion of the lunar lander to leave, to jettison and go back up the rendezvous. It's very, very, very small compared to, obviously to get off of Earth with that giant rocket, with all of that fuel, with all of that equipment.
This is doing literally nothing to do about it, so.
Amount of force that's required to achieve the escape velocity of Earth. Mode, whole universe. So that's the answer to that. Yes. Something like 90% of the mass of the rocket is the fuel to get it up into orbit. So,
how come they, like the last space show they did, last mission they did, just out of nowhere, right along the next ship, the black ball head part that's it.
Yeah. Is there Artemis 2? That just happened. It's the one that just happened, yeah.
I was wondering, when they take off, they never show the whole route. They'll show like take off and then you go, wow, I want to see them going all the time. I want to see streaming. I want to see that shit constantly. It's like they go for the rocket and then they're just in a spaceship. Like,
No, live launch. There's GoPros on the sides of the rockets showing from the ground all the way to LEO, to lower orbit. Constantly, the whole time. SpaceX was already doing it. Yes, it's live. It's live. You can watch it on launch live.
go back and see it.
Yes.
I want to go watch that.
Yes, go type in Artemis 2 launch footage in YouTube and watch 10 different angles, 10 different times. What do you mean? We just went to the moon. We went to the landing.
I went to the moon again.
No, again. Yeah, we didn't land. So the plan is for Artemis 4 to land. So, perfectly valid question. Why did we land? Okay, so the answer to the question is, do we want to do what the Apollo missions did? We do not. We already did that, right? The Apollo missions sent down a tiny little lander. Apollo 11 was just, can we put a human person on the moon? That was it. And they walked around for a few hours and took some pictures and looked at some stuff, and that was it. Then, from Apollos 12 through 17, so 13 was a mishap, they didn't get to land, but 12, and then 14, 15, 16, 17, 5, there were 6 total landings. What did they do? They did a lot of interesting science. They collected a bunch of moon rocks, which we can absolutely prove our origin. They cannot be Earth rocks. Got a lot of footage, did a lot of cool science, but we did that 50 years ago. So what are we going to go there to do now? We're going to try to start building a lunar base. We're going to try to do a lot of interesting stuff. And in order to do that, we need to bring a much bigger payload. So the kind of lander that's being designed right now, and so SpaceX and I forget which other company, they're competing, I think it's right, I forget the 2 companies that are competing to get the lander design needs way bigger because they're going to bring so much stuff, and it has to do kind of like what the SpaceX rockets do now, where they land and then take back off. It's not like a teeny tiny dinky little Apollo lunar lander that lands and then the top of it goes back up. We're talking about a lot more stuff, so that's why we're not doing it right now. We don't want to do what the Apollo missions did. We already did that. There's no reason to spend millions of dollars to do exactly what we've already done. We do things. We want to build a lunar base. We want to start mining for helium-3. We want to do something that's 21st century stuff.
Wait, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, like, they landed pretty big, but it's not that small. So, like, now you can literally go there. You can take photos there.
Hey, wait, do you think it's so easy that you should
don't know if I want to go up there.
11th or 17th. It was just big enough for 2 people, and then they brought back.
Alright, let's see. How do
It's a
we
very,
make
very
this?
small vessel. That's how televisions had to be, because they were doing the absolute tiniest mass possible so that they could afford to do. But now we want to do
For
bigger
this.
things. The ring
Okay.
things that we can construct together.
Car, I think that's for Tammy.
Sure, yeah, the lunar boat, yeah, there was a rover.
And I was like, what? And okay,
It's very lightweight.
this is coming from out.
Yeah.
When they landed, I had a problem with how they landed because they were like one small stuff for a man, one giant leap for a man. God, yo, you just landed on the fucking moon, bro. The emotion, the adventure, man. You know, because if we land on the moon and you're the first one, you're like, just so much.
Yeah, you're not white. You're black. These are dirty ass mathematicians and pilots.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, but you're not serious that the way Neil delivered that line is to you a valid reason to deny the moon landings against all of the empirical evidence that they happen, right? That's, I mean, you're doing comedy right now.
Yes.
Okay, which is fine. You're a comedian and the comedy show.
What? Whoa.
Huh?
I hope you stays that way.
So, I think it says you. I mean, so this is what I want to talk about, right? We're comparing subjective feelings about how a guy said something versus what I want to present to you now, like firm empirical evidence that proves that you went to the moon.
Okay, got a question.
Yeah.
Why did President Nixon call from a landline?
Okay, so the landline.
He's like,
It's not started. This is the absolute worst talking point in all of related stuff. So how was Houston communicating to? How was
well, I don't.
my radio transmission?
Communications with Verizon. You just because he had a receiver doesn't. You have situations where voice travels from copper to fiber optics, right? Transferred from fiber optics. From fiber optics, they can go to a voice link. The voice link can go to cellular, to different bands.
So long story short, a radio transmission can very trivially be tethered to a phone line. So Houston got the radio transmission, and then they sent it to next on the phone line.
Might sound technical. It just lets it look so funny. It's like, oh, and it was like,
Yeah, he's talking to the astronauts. Is the president? He wanted to have a this world.
Let me dial it. What's the next number to the moon? Yeah, everybody's 100.
That's crazy.
You gotta line these up and knock them down.
Don't make no after. So after talking to Gabriel Laura,
Exactly. See,
clarification. That's what I'm here.
you heard a talking point and you repeated it, thinking and saying, "Oh, well, what about this?" It's okay to say, "What about this?" And then I explained it, and now it's all clear.
Right. I mean, it's clear. No, it's very clear because, wait a minute, relax. I just asked. I thought when he said, you know, when you realize 1/6 of the gravity thing, I'm saying the amount of power it takes to get. I was like, oh, well, shit, yeah. Okay, so they said the phone thing was just fucking. I was like, what the fuck's that? But and then now that you explained the fiber optics and the coil. I know I appreciate that because we work in the kitchen. Now it's like, okay, that makes more sense for me now.
But still, 160 is still great, bro. Like, you know, 160 of it, you know,
I don't know how to do it. Can you do the
I
calculator?
know, it's like 160
Can
of
you do the calculator?
I'm doing it right now. 160 is like 40 pounds. 40 pounds of a person is last week to push up.
Uh,
Get to the back of my house and
Explain that 90% of the shit was
why did that just immediately explode? What?
It's 1/6 of what it's
200 pound person would be like 40 pounds dead. It's not zero.
right.
Yeah, the lunar lander doesn't just magically float up. There's thrusters, right? It applies a force to go back up to rendezvous with the command module. It's not just magically going, right? Thrusters fire and it goes up.
So here's one guy made an explanation of the Italian dude who was getting mad about the ladder. I thought it was funny. It was kind of funny. When the shit took off, he goes, so they just left the guy filming?
It's the rover. It's the lunar rover.
Oh, with the camera.
Yeah, there's a camera on the lunar rover, and they programmed it. And here's the thing: they tried to do it 3 times. So on Apollo 15, they messed it up. On Apollo 16, they almost got it, but so it's being controlled from Houston, but there's a slight delay, so it's hard to time it. Apollo 17, the famous one that everyone has seen, is Apollo 17 because it was the 3rd try they got it right that time.
So they messed it up 3 times before.
2, yeah. I think 2, at least 1. I know they messed it up at least once. But yeah, it's broken. Houston is doing it. They're controlling the camera to pan up, but there's a delay. So it's hard to do, right? It's not that easy. But on Apollo 17, they got it right, and that's the footage that's panning up from the camera on the rover.
Oh, okay. Well, shit.
Okay, so let's continue though. So I'm gonna keep talking about the lunar rover. So here's a few more things. So just in general, all of the footage and images on the lunar surface are impossible. So talking about the lunar rover in particular, this is one of the easiest ways to do it. Is you can watch footage from Apollo 17 for sure. I think also 16 of the rover driving around, and it is kicking up dust with the wheels. Right? And if you analyze the trajectory of dust particles, it is physically impossible for them to go on Earth. Right? The rigidly parabolic arcs require vacuum. So it's not there. And then the rate of gravity. So the way that the rover is driving and what the dust is doing are completely incompatible if it's not on the moon.
So you never ever had doubts about it. Did you ever have doubts and go, well, let me, no, I'm saying,
Yeah.
you go, let me see myself and make sure that did you ever have any doubts? You ever think, oh, it's Stanley Kubrick was involved? You never
All right.
thought any of that shit?